everyone, I'm Allie, co-founder of PotomacBeads, and I'm going to do a Better Beader episode for you today explaining what is galvanized and what is the Permafinish versus the DuraCoat when it's referring to galvanized seed beads. There's so many misconceptions when it comes to the two major brands, Miyuki and Toho, on the seed bead realm of what lasts, what doesn't last. You can't use any, you can't use some, you can use some, what the process is, and different dipping and processing. So I thought it would be really good to kind of set straight. And I did a lot of research for this, which was fun as well, on both Toho and Miyuki's sites, looking and reading in Japanese and the translation there, trying to figure out the exact processes that are somewhat of a secret. So it's a little bit cryptic when you're looking into what the coating process is and how these galvanized or metallic looking seed beads are made. One thing to keep in mind when you're looking at seed beads is that this is not something that is actually metal. Yes, there are metal beads that are made the size of seed beads, but when we're talking about Toho and Miyuki beads and you're looking for a metallic finish or metallic coating, you're not actually talking about a metal bead. These are glass beads, and more specifically glass or extruded tubes, or actually cylinders in the case of the delicas or the treasures, that are cut down and manufactured as glass and then go through an application and a galvanization process. There's a number of different ways that things are actually categorized, because even though they may look galvanized, they may just be metallic in finish, or they may have a lining. I actually learned something cool during this little schooling session with a different coating of the seed beads, that actually all of the galvanized colors start out as a silver color and then dyes are added to it. So it's kind of mind-blowing to me that the DuraCoat galvanized gold or galvanized gold color actually starts as silver and then dyes are added to make that gold color. Now there is an exception to that in some of the higher ones, the sterling silver and the nickel plated, and these are going to be, according to Miyuki, these are called special plating. So these would be 24 karat gold, palladium, nickel, sterling silver coated. That's going to be a little bit of a different process from galvanized. So before I go into what the galvanized actually means, I wanted to go over the fact that there's also, in addition to that, some linings. So you'll have silver lined, copper lined, and there's different lined beads, whether or not you're talking Toho or Miyuki. Keep in mind there's always the occurrence for the lined to be matte, to be shiny, to have another coating on top of it, to be AB. There's tons and tons and tons of coatings and connections and ways that they can be finished. But the lining in these are going to be silver or special copper coated or gold coated, which actually Toho advertises that they use 14 karat gold for their gold plating and sterling silver for their silver plating. Now, when it comes to the lined colors, because you are coating, when you're talking about galvanized or you're talking about metallics, you are coating on top of glass. This has led to an issue for years with different seed beads that you want in these metallic colors. How well are they actually going to stay on? Until 5 to 10 years ago, say, there was just the option of having these galvanized colors, and if you wanted to use them, you ran the risk, and I'll take my earring off here, that when you use the colors, some of them actually came off. These earrings I made probably about 10 years ago. Love them, still wear them. But you can see the gold is actually off the bead. It looks like a pretty luster now. The silver lined isn't so shiny with silver in the middle anymore. It just looks like a crystal bead. Because of those known factors of finishes and galvanized, because again, we are coating glass. Miyuki in 2011, and then really coming to fruition in the market in 2013, and Toho in 2015, came out with another coating that's going on top of the galvanized. So in the world of Miyuki, it is going to be the DuraCoat. In Toho, the trademark is for Permafinish. These two processes, I'm guessing, are almost identical. However, you're not going to find out from either company exactly the steps that go into them. They are basically a lacquer or a coating that is applied to the already galvanized beads. Now, this coating does change the color just slightly. I have two here in the Permafinish, or the galvanized rather, teal green color. Here is Permafinish, or what Toho will refer to usually as PF. Miyuki refers to their DuraCoat as DC. you can see, and it's hard to really visualize, that the regular galvanized tends to be a little bit brighter. Because an extra coating, clear coating, protective coating, think Permalac, is going to be applied for that Permafinish coating, really in an effort to make it withstand lots of fading and scratching and tarnishing. That's what the Permafinish is for. That Permafinish, or that clear coat that is applied to the galvanized beads, makes it outstanding as far as the amount that it will stay, that it will keep its color, that it will not rub off. Now, you keep in mind, if you're wearing perfumes, you're having harsh chemicals, you're throwing it in the laundry a lot, it could affect the coating that is on that. But for regular everyday use, like if I'm making something like the Gatsby bracelet here, I'm going to avoid using just that plain galvanized finish. Now, Miyuki and Toho both still make galvanized without the Permafinish coating on it. But when I can, as much as possible, I want to make sure that I get that Permafinish or that DuraCoat color. Because yes, I can get galvanized champagne, but I want that extra clear coating on top. So I want that Permafinish, or I want that DuraCoat on top of my galvanized coating. That is the misconception that happens a lot. The galvanized beads cannot be used, that anything that's metallic cannot be used. That would have been true, say 5 or 8 years ago, before Permafinish and DuraCoat were in the whole spectrum of the seed beads. But now, with the great coating and the scientific advancements that have been done in the coating process of these, we really don't have to worry about things like my earrings happening. Now, can you lose color? Of course, because there is harshness, there is rubbing, there is all of those things that really can't be predicted. However, to me, totally worth it in order to use that. The only bummer, and something that you may want to think of is that there is a little bit of a difference in color. Because it's an additional glaze or an additional coating that's applied, it tends to be that the regular galvanized is a little bit brighter and not yellowed a little bit like the DuraCoat. So here I have the regular galvanized silver in the Miyuki 80. Here I have the DuraCoat galvanized silver in the 80. You can see just a slight difference in brightness. This looks a little bit more tarnished because of the coating that has been applied to make it that DuraCoat standard. Another drawback to the DuraCoat versus just the regular galvanized is that when you get into tiny beads like 15 OC beads here, anything that has that actual DuraCoat coating on it does have that additional lacquer that's on it. So think about the fact that you have a small hole and it's getting coated with that galvanization, then it's going to coat in again. When that coating happens, not only is it coating the outside of the bead, but it's generally coating the inside of the bead too. So thinking of 15 OC beads, think about the size needle. You're going to have a hard time getting a 15-0 seed bead through a size 10 needle when it is a Permafinish, because the holes get a little bit smaller as you add those layers of coating on top of the beads. That's my number one problem with the DuraCoat or the Permafinish when they're in 15-0s, is that the hole does get a little bit smaller. You have a size 12 needle, you should be good. But know that the hole does get smaller as you apply and get more of these coatings on. In addition to that, you may think that when a seed bead is called metallic, according to Miyuki, if there is a metallic thing like a metallic light bronze here, it's not actually a metal coating, it's a bronze luster or an iris coating that is applied to it. Now you're going to get a same color or a similar color in the different coatings of the galvanized, but the actual metallic finishes are going to be a different process than the galvanization process. In addition to that, they're using the DuraCoat coating on not only the actual galvanized seed beads, but they're using the DuraCoat coating on opaque colors, so clear glass that is then dyed with a dye on top of it, and they're using the DuraCoat for that. They also have the DuraCoat that they're doing to the silver line, so this is the DuraCoat silver line topaz. And then in addition to those opaques and to the Permafinish and the DuraCoat and the Permafinish and the DuraCoat being both in the lined and the opaques, Toho is also DuraCoating some of the Ceylons, which are also a coating on top, or think luster, pearl luster, on top of the glass. I think further and further, anything that is dyed Anything that is coated, like the galvanized, the Ceylon, the metallics, we're gonna start to see more and more of them getting this Permafinish or the DuraCoat process that's happening on top of it. That's awesome for us because if we're putting a couple hours into a project, you don't want it to rub off and come off right away on your wrist. Also, say the pair of earrings like I have that I made probably 10 years ago, just circular brick stitch, you don't want to have them 10 years later, have to redo them and have those colors come off. I made these with just regular galvanized beads rather than taking that extra step and getting the DuraCoat or the Permafinish on top. So this is the thing to think about. Yes, there is a price difference when it comes to galvanized versus Permafinish or DuraCoat galvanized. That is because that extra step is taken in the process trying to coat it and make it more durable. Is there an actual difference that goes along with that cost? Absolutely. You are definitely going to notice a much better chance that your color will hold fast, not scratch, and not rub off when you are using the DuraCoating. The DuraCoat, the Permafinish coating that is applied to them, lasts for an insane amount of time, and I really have had no issues other than when I get down to the 15s, the holes get a little closed. I would avoid as much as possible, since that new technology is there, getting the galvanized seed beads. That being said, we still stock and carry the galvanized seed beads. Every once in a while, there's an occasion where I think, it's not going to rub, it's not going to get affected really, and I like the color that it is because it doesn't get a little bit of that darker or that less bright look because it doesn't have that additional coating. So we still carry those items because there's still a demand for those items. But if you are taking a lot of time, putting a lot of effort in, pay the minimal upcharge for the extra process that goes into getting that Permafinish or that DuraCoat. So again, since 2013, 2015, for the two different companies, they have realized that this is an issue. They have worked on the scientific way to solve this issue, and I think it's just going to start getting better and better with the technology of coating these glass beads. The same technology is starting and happening in the Czech Republic as well with their finishes, but I just wanted to concentrate here on these Japanese seed beads, both the Miyuki and the Toho brand. Now again, what do you want to get? What do you want to buy? What are you going to use? If you ever have any questions, we're happy to answer them here at PotomacBeads.com as well as send you any supplies that you need. The idea of these Better Beader episodes are also to open conversation. So you can open up the conversation below by commenting. You can share this video as well as give it a thumbs up and help to make this a more informed beading community, answering some of the questions about the galvanized and the Permafinish versus the DuraCoat. Same thing, two different companies, two different brands, Toho versus Miyuki. One I have not found is better than the other. I have lots of Better Beader episodes as well as videos on which seed beads I like better and which I prefer, but they're both great brands and they both have positives and negatives to them. Keep in mind, again, if you would like to, you can subscribe to this YouTube channel, watch all the Better Beader episodes, become more informed to make better decisions for your jewelry making. As always, thanks so much for watching and enjoy your galvanized, Permafinish, or DuraCoat beads.